right, let's get right into it. Today we're unpacking something absolutely mind-blowing, the Mythaq, or the Primordial Covenant. We aren't just talking about some dusty, abstract theological concept here. This is literally the universal history of humanity, our history.
So, quick question for you. Do you remember what you said before you were born? Sounds crazy, right? But you actually have a memory tucked away that you can't consciously access. I'm not talking about a suppressed childhood memory, but something from before you even had a physical body. Way before your parents even met, before the earth was even populated, every single soul that would ever exist made a binding agreement. You were asked a question, and your answer to that question literally dictates your spiritual eternity.
Section 1. The Origin. A gathering of every soul. Try to picture this cosmic scale for a second. In a literal valley known as Nama, which matches up with the plains of Arafat today, an unimaginably massive event went down. Every human soul, from Adam all the way to the very last child that will ever be born, was extracted and gathered together. You were there. I was there. We all stood face to face before our Creator in this vast, endless sea of humanity. And then, the Creator spoke. The question he asked is perfectly preserved in just 3 incredibly powerful Arabic words, which translate to, "Am I not your Lord?" Now, what's super interesting here is the grammar. It's a negative interrogative, meaning it's not some open-ended, multiple-choice question where you get to pick from A, B, or C. It's a statement of fact that demands confirmation. Think of a mother looking at her kid and saying, "Did I not give birth to you?" Right? It's prompting you to confirm a reality that is already completely established.
And the linguistic nuance here is just brilliant. The specific word used for Lord is Rab, not Ilah. Ilah strictly means a deity to be worshipped. But Rab, that means creator, sustainer, master, the one who owns and nurtures you. This shows us that recognizing your creator structurally comes before the actual act of ritual worship. As a creature, you owe the creator the recognition of his lordship simply by the sheer fact that you exist.
So how did we respond? Every single soul answered in this exact way. Bala shahidna. Yes, we testify. And believe me, this wasn't just a passive, polite nod. The word bala is an emphatic, undeniable, totally binding yes. You said this. Your specific soul gave this testimony, and it was put on the record. Why? To completely eliminate the excuse of ignorance forever. On the day of judgment, there's no way to say, "Hey, I didn't know," because, well, you already testified that you did.
Section 2. The Fitrah. Your spiritual operating system. Okay, so we've covered this massive cosmic gathering, but you might be wondering, how exactly does this ancient, pre-birth yes survive and actually function inside our physical, biological bodies today? Well, that brings us to the Fitrah. Simply put, Fitrah is the innate human disposition. It's literally the built-in structural memory of your soul's primordial testimony to one Lord. Every single child who enters this world is born upon this default setting. From the exact millisecond of birth, you are naturally calibrated to recognize your Creator, carrying the deep residue of that ancient covenant. A great way to think about it is like tech. Your Fitrah is your operating system. It's the foundational software installed by God before you're even unboxed, so to speak. Now, your culture, your upbringing, society, your parents, they act as the application layer. They install apps on top of your OS. Some apps run smoothly, while others might introduce bugs or even corrupt the system. But that base operating system, it's always there, humming in the background, perfectly configured right from the factory. Section 3. The Descent. The Veil of Forgetting. Now, we had a pretty obvious history here, right? If every single one of us stood there and emphatically said yes, why on earth don't we consciously remember it?
Well, there are some absolutely profound reasons for this veil. First off, it's to make belief a genuine, actual choice. If you remembered a literal face-to-face conversation with God, earthly life wouldn't be a test at all. Obedience would just be automatic. Second, it makes normal, daily human life emotionally bearable. If we carried the direct, unedited memory of the divine, we would be completely paralyzed with grief and awe. We literally wouldn't be able to function or get out of bed. And finally, classical theology points out that there's a spiritual touch at birth, marking our entry into this world of trial. So really, this veil of forgetting, it's not a punishment. It's a massive, profound mercy. Moving on to Section 4, the present. Signs in your daily life. Because here's the thing. While your conscious memory is totally sealed off, that buried Fitrah, it doesn't stay quiet. It violently bubbles up into your conscious mind through completely ordinary, everyday human experiences. Think about it. Have you never noticed that instinctive reaching upward when a sudden crisis hits, even from folks who swear up and down they don't believe in anything? Or what about that overwhelming, breathless awe you feel when you're standing in front of breathtaking natural beauty? And what about that weird, unexplained spiritual longing you get when you're just sitting in complete quiet solitude? Or the instant recognition and sudden tears when you hear a profound truth? That sudden, deep warmth you feel during prayer. Look, these are not just random emotional misfires in your brain. This is your soul temporarily recognizing its native language. It's the Fitrah, pointing the compass back home.
And this brings us to a really crucial point, the crushing weight of guilt. You know when you commit a hidden sin, something absolutely nobody else sees, and you feel that inescapable, heavy guilt sitting on your chest? That is a waver in your soul. It's actually your ancient Fitrah actively protesting. It's literally your internal operating system throwing up a massive error code because you violated your original yes.
Section 5. The future. The ultimate return. Fast forward and we arrive at the Day of Judgment. This isn't just some abstract, far-off endpoint. This is the exact moment where the Mythaq, that original covenant, becomes the central, inescapable piece of evidence against any kind of denial. As the incredibly powerful reminder states, read your book. Sufficient is yourself this day as accountant against yourself. On that day, because of your pre-birth testimony, you can't point fingers. You can't blame society, you can't blame the culture, and you certainly can't blame your parents. Your own soul is the primary witness. You are the star evidence.
Knowing all this gives incredible, heavy weight to a phrase we hear all the time. Indeed, to Allah we belong, and to Him we shall return. We usually say this during times of grief or loss, right? But look really closely at those words. It is a literal declaration. Returning implies coming back to a place you have already been. We are literally journeying back to the Lord we already met and already spoke to before time even began.
Section 6. The application. Living your yes today. Okay, we've explored this vast, massive, cosmic architecture. But how do we actually ground this? What are the practical, actionable steps for you in the next 24 hours? Well, here is how you can align with your covenant starting right now. First, reframe every single prayer. When you recite Al-Fatiha, the opening chapter of the Quran, and you say, "You alone we worship," realize that is a literal, daily renewal of your primordial Mythaq. You are continuing that original conversation. Second, acknowledge and lean into the Fitrah's pull. When you feel that sense of awe, don't just brush it off as a mood swing. Lean into it. Third, make it a habit to perform nightly self-reckoning, muhasabah, to clean out the soul and keep your Fitrah highly responsive. And finally, teach your kids these truths right now while their Fitrah is still perfectly unburdened by the noise of the world. Yes, you are my Lord. So I want to leave you with a challenge for tonight. Sometime later, sit alone in the quiet of your room. Put the phone away, remove all distractions, and just whisper this affirmation, "Yes, you are my Lord." Even if you don't consciously remember saying it before time began, your soul absolutely does. Reconnect with that ultimate responsibility and let yourself feel that profound sense of homecoming. So here's my final question for you. If your soul remembers its promise, what is stopping you from living it out tomorrow? Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.